Welcome to this episode of the Monday Minute. My name is Ken Freeman, and here is what I have for you today. I had the opportunity of interviewing the author of Muted Gray, Dianna Young, and she is here with us to tell us about this new novel that I think will be a great resource for your center. So let's start by watching her video.
Well, that was a wonderful clip. Now, Dianna, go ahead and tell us about your book.
Well, Muted Gray is a novella, so it's a little bit shorter than than a full-size novel, basically. It's obviously work of fiction, and it's a pro-life. It has a pro-life spin to it, and the focus of this book really was to personify the babies that are being aborted, because I think so often people have been led to believe anymore, sadly, that when they perform an abortion that it's actually just a mass of tissue, that it's not a life. And so my whole focus in this book was really to help people to envision the fetus as a life, as a human being, and truly it's a little bit ethereal. It has kind of a little bit of a haunting feel to it, because as you're reading the book, you go through a progression of 5 different women who all end up in the same place at the same time, and you're not really sure where the book is going at the beginning, and then as it progresses, you come to realize that all these women are actually in an abortion clinic, and all for various reasons. There's one woman who believes that her child has Down syndrome. There's one woman who's just too busy. She's just a very busy working woman, and she just thinks that a child would interfere with her life. And so there are a number of different reasons why these women are all in this abortion clinic. And then the main character, Dr. Mary Edams, has been an abortionist for years. And for these many years that she's been doing this, she's never really confronted the fact that at some point she came to the realization that these babies that she's aborting are actually human beings and not just masses of tissue. And at a point, and I don't want to give away too much about it, but at a point within the novella, she becomes aware of this fact. And she's struck with that realization, and then what to do with that. And I hope, I pray that this book will be a powerful tool, a resource for pro-life organizations, for clergy, for various people who are looking to try to impress this upon other people who may feel on the fence, who may have not formed an opinion, to actually come to the realization that this is a human life that we're talking about. There's a lot of symbolism, and I truly believe that I can't take any credit for this book. It was truly inspired by God. There were times where the words just flowed on the paper, and I know that wasn't me. So I really, really feel like this is just an incredible opportunity, and I pray that it's just going to make a huge difference in the lives of people who read it.
Well, super. Well, how did you go about deciding to write such a book?
Actually, I was working on a novel that I had written that I had an agent representing. And while I was working on that, I came up with another idea for another book, and they were both books that were not, they didn't have a Christian focus. And I just said a prayer one day. I said, God, I don't know why, but I don't really have any ideas popping in my head for, something that has a Christian spin to it. And I honestly felt kind of guilty about that. Like I was doing a disservice to a talent that God had given me, and I really wasn't using that talent to further His efforts. And so I just said a little prayer, and I said, God, if there's something that you want me to do, you need to let me know. And I waited, and I actually kind of had forgotten that I'd said that prayer. And then one day my husband and I were driving to Wyoming, and we were in the truck, and I kind of was half asleep, and this idea popped in my head, and I thought, and I don't know if you remember, there was a poem years ago that I heard. I think it was probably in the early mid 80s, and it was a poem from a child about to be aborted speaking to her mother. And that poem was so powerful. And I thought, now why is it that we don't really, there are a lot of nonfiction works out there, basically suggesting, implying, please don't have an abortion and this is why. But there's a fiction standpoint where I think sometimes fiction, people get kind of caught up in it. They get pulled into it a little bit more. And to put it from a perspective of the child, I thought could be really, really powerful. And my husband and I kind of brainstormed some ideas back and forth. And so the children are very present in this story. And I think that it's a powerful tool because we need to hear their voice. And actually the title, Muted Gray, is very symbolic. Basically the fact that what was once a black and white issue has now become this muddy shade of gray. It's something that people have somehow convinced themselves that either it's not something to concern them. And then I think that there are a lot of Christians or a lot of pro-lifers who feel strongly about the fact that abortion is murder, but we're all being so polite and politically correct, and we fail to speak out when it needs to be said, and those babies haven't been given a chance to voice their concerns or their requests or their choice, which would obviously be to choose life.
Dianna, what did you hope to accomplish with this book?
Well, obviously there's a large demographic of pro-lifers who will have an appreciation for this book. Ultimately, my goal would be to get it into the hands of those people who are pro-choice or who are perhaps on the fence. And even in having written this book, I've been surprised how many of my close friends that I would have just assumed were pro-life don't really see the concept of a fetus as being a human life, and so they don't really think that abortion is as big an issue as I obviously feel it to be, and that came as a real shock to me. And I was really blessed in this opportunity to be able to share my book with friends, just asking them to proof it, to give me their thoughts on it. And in doing this, I thought, my goodness, this is really, really, this is a message that needs to be told. And I think that so many people, anymore in an effort to be politically correct, we're all keeping quiet about our thoughts on abortion. And I think we all keep quiet on too many issues. My hope is in writing this book and getting it out into the hands of people who are on the fence and those people who are pro-choice, that maybe it will sway their opinion. I pray that it will. I pray that it will make that it'll have a powerful impact. And and I know that there are a lot of people. It's an issue that people take very strongly. A lot of people hold very dear to themselves, and I've spoken with a lot of people that are good friends of mine that'll say, well, don't mess with my choice. This is my choice. Well, my goodness, it's a life. It's not a choice. And I want to relay that in a way that doesn't preach, that doesn't suggest that I'm trying to say that they're wrong and I'm right. I just want people to become aware and look at it from a perspective of the child's point of view.
I'm sure people are going to want to know, when will this book be released to the public?
It comes out November 1st.
Where could someone purchase Muted Gray?
They can get a copy of Muted Gray either on the website at mutedgray.com. Wholesalers can order the book through the publisher, which is Wildflower Press, and that would be at bookorder@wildflowerpress.org. And then, of course, the book can be purchased online at Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com.
We understand that you're going to be making a contribution of a portion of the funds from this book to benefit pro-life orgs. Tell us about this.
Like I said before, I don't feel like this is my book. I feel like this is something that, greater than all of us. I feel like it's something that's meant to be shared. I want to get it out there in as many hands as I can, and I think initially the way to do that is to try to find as many pro-life organizations and Christian organizations out there that want to help spread the word about it. But in doing that, I also want to be able to give back. So we were going to give $1 for each book sold that's sold through a pro-life organization.
Well, and so how can an organization get in contact with you to help promote your book?
To get in contact with me as to how they can make books available through their organization, and then receive some of those contributions, they can send an email to mutedgray@live.com, and then I can tell them how we can set that up. So I thought maybe the easiest way to do it would be for those organizations to just have a posting on their website or any newsletters or materials that they put out, and then the orders can go directly to them. They can then put the order through the Wildflower Press Publishing, and then they would the orders would be fulfilled that way, and then the contributions would be reimbursed that way.
Well, we want to thank you for taking the time to join our interview, and for those listening, please visit her website. And what is that website?
It's mutedgray.com, and that's muted, M-U-T-E-D, gray, G-R-E-Y.com.
Okay, well, remember, tell a friend about the Monday Minute, and as I've always said, keep up the good work you're doing. You are making a difference, and the other side just can't stand it. Thanks for listening.